Alright, here we go, everybody. This is an impromptu live. I'm going live. I'm trying to get more into the live streaming game. Of course, you tuned into the alert zone. I don't see any messages. I'm not sure how many people popping up yet. This is kind of a first time thing, so if I get anything wrong, don't kill me. If there's anything you wanted to say and I don't see the messages popping up, just leave a comment when the video is over with, and we can just take it from there. As a matter of fact, all right. Anyhow, so got my EDC with me. That spring works real well up in here. Got my EDC with me. Oh, I forgot. Live streaming ain't supposed to show. Got my EDC with me. But I see I got one person in the room. Let me just get right into it. I'm gonna figure this out. I apologize to everybody. See, I've got 3 people in the room now. I'm not seeing any messages. Like I said, I'm still working on this, but I wanted to talk about something. And I have been wanting to do this live stream for a couple days now. All right, here we go. William Pertelli, what's up, man? What's up? Thanks for joining in. Thanks for joining in. Like I said, I'm new to this. I'm still learning it, the whole live stream game. But shout out to our regular gun guy. I know right now is around the time he's usually doing his Sunday address, his live stream. But I just thought I had to go live with this. Celebrities are normal people too, they have lives outside of what we see them pertaining to. They have lives outside of everything else. And I want to say rest on to the son, Young Cheese, the son of the rapper hustler Gillie the Kid. He lost his life on Friday, I believe it was. And it just made me think about something that I needed to go live about. I had been kind of debating about doing this, but I'm gonna ruffle some feathers with what I'm about to say, but it needs to be said. Men, we gotta start holding our sons closer to us. We have to do that. As a father, we're very protective of our daughters. And I'm saying this because I'm guilty of it too. I'm available for chastising just like a lot of y'all out there. That's why I always say here on this channel, I speak from my experiences when I'm giving a commentary. And, but that young man lost his life. His dad worked, hustled. He got his podcast, him and Wallow, $1 million worth of game. Doing fairly well for himself, and his son lost his life. You guys might be wondering why I'm singling out the men, but this is a conversation we need to have. As men, we gotta start embracing our sons more, man. Our sons' lives are constantly being snuffed away from them. Constantly being snuffed out. Constantly. We kind of have it in our mind, nobody's gonna do anything to our daughters. And sometimes, children even see us as, well, my dad loved his daughters more than he loved his sons. And that's not always true. We just may show more concern for them because they're our girls. But you know what? In the world we live in, and this cuts across racial lines because I live in Iowa. As you guys know, I'm originally from New Orleans. I grew up in a city where it was 80% black. I live in a town that's 1% black now. So basically, black people don't exist here. And moving up here exposed me to something I wasn't exposed to at home. Moving up here exposed me to the things you don't see on mainstream news. Growing up in New Orleans, they always showed with the news stories what the black kids was doing, what we was doing, what we was out there doing wrong. And they never really flashed anybody else on the news unless they done something heinous. And when I moved up here, you know, and I got a chance to be around the whole meth epidemic and see how that's going, man, there's a lot of guys up here in Iowa, man, in and out of prison, in and out of jail. Every 2 or 3 weeks, they on Highway 30 in the Marshall County Jail and other different counties here in Iowa. Fentanyl. Let me explain something to you. Fentanyl don't care about your race, your color, your creed, nothing. This opioid crisis. When I moved up here, I didn't even know, I hadn't even really never heard of meth. And I'm up here right now. There's stories about guys being mummified, trying to drill holes. Ask any of these farmers out here that got these small anhydrous tanks on their farm. How you got guys coming in the middle of the night trying to drill holes to steal anhydrous out of there. Apparently they use that to make some kind of meth or whatever. And this stuff is mummifying. I'm seeing where guys are going to break into these things and they being ran over by cars. Their partner sees the farmer coming and takes off and don't pay attention and runs them over. All across this country, we losing men at a rate, and young men in all communities. I know on the news they like to just flash one. I'm telling you here, me, Uncle James, I'm telling you, it's not just us. And that false sense of security is ravaging through these other non-black communities now. Fentanyl has came in while everybody was so busy watching us with crack. Ecstasy, opioids, all this stuff came in, and now they brought in fentanyl. And you seeing guys die out here young. Fentanyl. From the whole drug trade. You're having these different massacres. You're right, Lee, they have it tough. They being told that masculinity is toxic, but being pushed to be females, and man, we, the men, of all races, nationalities, cultures, or whatever, we got to start holding our sons closer to us. Now, I understand everybody can't be saved. Everybody is not going to conform to this. But let me just take a minute out right now to say this to all the young men in this country that run across this. There's nothing wrong with coming from money. There's nothing wrong with coming from a family where they bust they behind and they worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Don't be ashamed of that. I'm going to say something about the street life that a lot of you guys and girls may not understand. All the kids out there getting caught for crimes are not necessarily bad people. Some of them just choose the wrong friends. Some of them just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. I mean, it is, what's happening? What up? See you in there, brother. Appreciate your support. You always support me. Man, you know, it's like you can see these boys 1 minute and the next minute you be getting a call saying you got to come identify them. A son should be burying a father. A father shouldn't be burying his son. You know, it's just, as men and as young men and as young boys, the things that we've been taught, some of this stuff we gotta let it go. Firearms. I won't show y'all my firearm because I guess you can't do this on live streams. Here in GunTube and people that support GunTube, whether it's this channel or any other channels, we don't ever push violence. We don't ever tell you guys and girls to go out there and create violence. That's not the type of people we are. We're not violent people. All we ask is that you go out and you be respectful with them and you protect yourself. You got the Honest Outlaw, shout out to him. He do a lot of shooting competitions. You got hunting. Sometimes they're just a good stress relief. But we come to a place where our young men in this country feel like the only way they can be accepted is they have to shoot somebody. They feel like that's the only way they can be. And it is not what it used to be. They used to show it as it was just guys from impoverished areas. It's children that grew up 5, 6, 900 acre farm. And they constantly, man, parents or grandparents inherit all this. Now I know money not going to make do the wrong thing. What I'm saying is we have a lot of men out here that have an opportunity, throwing it away because they feel like they're going to be accepted if they're not out there thugging. Because rappers now, pay attention. They don't ever mention others. If their father is in their life, they can't talk about it. They can only mention their mom. They can mention their dad in passing. They're so afraid of being honest because they have a dad in their life. They don't denigrate him. They just don't mention the man at all. Now with the world of social media, on Mother's Day, you see the athletes, the rappers, the guys with long money, posting pictures and videos of what they gave their moms. On Father's Day, and a lot of these guys got active fathers. You don't see nothing. Or they may put a little inscription, Happy Father's Day. We've gotten to a point in this country where we're so disrespectful to children. I mean, to fathers, to men, that it then turned in. What's happening, Jason Ewan? Thanks for coming in. It then turned in to what it then turned into. And like I said, some of these people, I'm chilling, Jason. I'm chilling. Just thought I'd do this kind of live stream. It's kind of my first time really doing somewhat of a live stream. So I'm learning, you know. I appreciate y'all for checking in though. Man, my son just went back home. He came up to visit me, my youngest son. And I just looked at him and looked at him while he was here. And we talked and we talked. My son tells me all the time how much he loves me. He tells me that all the time, man. Fathers, love your sons, man. I don't know. I can't say I know what it's like to bury a child because I don't. But it's okay to tell your son you love him. Young men, it's okay to tell your dad you love him. It's okay to uphold your dad in the same statue you uphold your mom. That's not a bad thing. You know, it's really, really heartbreaking when you see people losing their lives, young men, and they have a loving family at home, man, that's been busting their behinds trying to give it to them. And you know, like I said, living here in Iowa, this has been an eye-opening experience because I've seen that this has cut across racial and ethnic lines, man. it's affecting everybody. I've seen guys up here, good, good families, man, good upstanding men. I'm talking to the men. Ladies, you're welcome to join in. But I just gotta have this chat with the men because I'm a father. Good, upstanding men. Losing their sons to fentanyl. Losing their sons to just a bad decision. Like I said, man, I know some guys who got life in prison just because they was somewhere they shouldn't have been. And then I know some guys that just, they bout it. Straight up. They bout slinging that iron. If you ain't here, hit the likes button for me so we can boost the algorithm, get this out to everybody. They bout slinging that iron. They came out as damn near as a baby about that type of stuff. What's going on, Action Jackson? The Detroit, Michigan in here representing, definitely. But, you know, like I said, man, I wanted to shout out, well, I don't want to say shout out, but I just want to say rest on to Young Cheese, Gillie the Kid's son. I know he's the son of a celebrity and what have you, but, you know, definitely the Migos Takeoff, losing his life. He was my favorite one out the group because he was always low-key and he seemed to never get into nothing, you know. I think that's kind of what hurt a lot of people. You know, I know sometimes you guys hear me talk about family on the news saying that a person who committed a heinous crime was a good person, this and that, and you hear me attack them for it. But honestly, sometimes these guys and these girls, they're not that type. They just happen to make a bad choice this particular day with this particular person, and it cost them. Let me tell you something. Every child in this country, Gun Freak Nation, oh shit, god damn it, salute to the president. Salute to the president. We got the president up in here. Everybody in here, shout out to President of Gun Freak Nation. All these guys and girls are not all bad, but they make bad decisions. And then some of them, they are just what they are. You know, celebrities, you're right, too rich. Celebrities are normal people. And a lot of times we get caught up. Some of them step outside of those characters when they get off from in front of the camera. Some of them, you know, when they get from in front of the camera, they're a normal person. They got an everyday life. And at the end of the day, I don't wish harm on nobody. I don't go around preaching harm. Yes, I say defend yourself. It's your life. You only get one life. You got to defend yourself. Yes, I say that. And I'm never going to be ashamed of that. But what I'm also saying is, we as the men, if you and your son have an issue, man, sit down and talk with your son, man. Love your son. Love your sons. We all know we love our daughters. Embrace your sons, man, because you know what? 1 minute they can be here, and the next minute you could be getting that phone call. The next minute you could be getting that phone call saying, hey, so-and-so. This is the so-and-so police department. You know when you get that call, what that means. Yeah, we got to come down here, and I need you to identify this body. And your nerves is jumping, and your nerves is jumping. And you get down there, and your son is laying on the ground. Fathers, men, uncles, big brothers, whatever you are, talk to your younger family members, the males, and just let them know there is nothing wrong with choosing good friends. We've got to get out of this thing that, and like I said, I see the Hispanic guys, I see the Asian guys, I see the white guys, I see the Native American guys. They all jumping on this thing where they're trying to distance themselves from having come from a good background. Nothing is wrong with that. That's what your parents work for. You beat them up if they don't provide what you want for them. But when they provide what you want for you, when they provide that for you, then you run away from it. I'm going to say something about Donald Trump that a lot of people going to find kind of, when you think about it, I'll go say something political real quick and then I'll jump back on top. Donald Trump is the American dream. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Donald Trump is a man that's rich, he got money, and he lets you know about it. And he's not ashamed of that. All of you that's children of immigrants or that are immigrants, that's what y'all family supposedly came here for. And a lot of y'all get here and you want to get as far away from that as you can because you want to feel cool. I'm going to say this. I was this close to voting for Mitt Romney. I didn't want to vote for Obama in his second term because I felt like he didn't do nothing for us. Mitt Romney did all he could to run away from being rich, even though he got his money legally. He did everything he could to run away from being rich. And that was the one thing that soured me on him. Like he was embarrassed. You worked hard, you earned your money, what you gonna be embarrassed for? Now back to the young men out there. Your parents work hard, your dad, because I want to kind of narrow this to the men. Your dad works hard. What is wrong with that? What is wrong with embracing, yeah, we got money? There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody want to lie to you and tell you they getting it out the mud. Those of us who had to get it out the mud wish we didn't grow up like that. Let me tell you something. Now I'm going to get racial for a minute. For all you suburban blacks, all you Negroes who grew up in a nice upscale neighborhood with your mama and your daddy, and they had professional jobs, and you went to private school, and they set you up so that you can flourish in life, you Negroes are the worst offenders of that. You Negroes are the ones who make the rest of us angry because you want something that we're trying to get away from. You want our life and we're trying to get away from it. There ain't a Negro, and I'm not mincing words, there ain't a Negro in the hood that'll tell you, I wish I didn't have to see the things I saw. I wish I could have just lived in a quiet place where all I had to do was go to school, come home, and stay out of the little trouble and be something. None of us. None of us wish that. None of us wish that. I mean, we accept what we was given and we played the card we was dealt. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, we wish, you know, that we could have just had what we seen as a normal life. As we get grown, we trying to get away from that. You guys was raised on the other side of town and you're breaking your neck the minute you turn 18 to go hang around a bunch of hoods. And I'm not telling you nothing is wrong with having some of them as friends. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, why embrace something that you know is going to lead to destruction? Because let me tell you something. Your favorite rapper that runs around on his videos showing you guns and talking about how many people he didn't kill, when that camera go off, that joker goes to Beverly Hills or somewhere in a gated community. That's where he's going. Because he understands, I made it out of this lifestyle. Yeah, I can talk about it, but I ain't going to live in it no more. He's going to Beverly Hills and you run into the damn Rolling 60s neighborhood. That's just, that's, as they say, hustling backwards. And I'm seeing this with a lot of these celebrities' children, especially those who want to get involved in rap. If your dad bust his behind to get you out of that environment and keep you away from it, what are you running back to it for? What are you trying to go there for? There ain't nothing but death and destruction in the hood, straight up. There is very few dudes who make it out of the hood without a felony record, never being shot, and able to live and talk about it. That's just straight facts. Black men. Most of our drug kingpins that you've seen on movies in the last 50 years all wind up the same way. When they came out of prison, broken at home with their fucking mama, telling you about what they used to have. They're telling you, I used to have this. I used to have that. Now I'm at home living with my mom. I ain't got nothing. Everybody else, when they come out, the Italians got a community to go to. The Hispanic dudes, they got a community to go to. The Asian dudes got a community to go to. The white dudes got a community to go to. The Native Americans got settlements they can go on. Black men, where you going? Young black men, where you going when you get out? Back to the hood that's ran by the fucking government. That's where you going. I wanted to do this live stream because I just wanted to let everybody know we coming to a point where when you watch the politics, even the politics of the country is telling you that this live stream is moving in the direction of the country. With them in Florida getting rid of permanent alimony. You know why they doing that? Oh, you was look too rich. Hey, let me tell you something about Telly Hankton, too rich. I grew up with him. The Hanktons, I know pretty much all of them. I'm going to tell you, it was a lot of them. It was a lot of them. Now, I know you was looking at the documentary. I'm going to say this. I'm never going to remember Telly as what y'all see on the news as this monster. Because that's not the way he carried himself. I always remembered him as the red-skinned dude that used to smile all the time. I met him in '88 when I moved from one part of Central City to another part. I met him and I met his family because we went to school together. When we got older and he was making money, I remember him popping wheelies and stuff on his motorcycles. He loved motorcycles. I'm just going to say this. That dude right there, I don't care what nobody say. And even if them folks show up and want to ask me questions about why I'm saying this, I'm never going to remember that dude as the monster that he portrayed. Because that's not the way he carried himself. That dude was approachable. That dude used to be out at the block parties and all that. And everybody had the utmost respect for that dude. So I'm not going to get on here and run him down. Straight up. And that Josephine Street, when they put that store on the corner, Josephine and LaSalle, I remember all them dudes from there because I used to live in the next block. It wasn't nothing to stand down there and watch gunfire at night. Now, telling them was on the other side of LaSalle Street, on the other side of Simon Bolivar. That's where he was on Josephine Ankle. I went to school with all them, the Hanktons, the Carters, the Andersons, the Perkins, all of them. I was at 36 with all of them. I don't want to get into here, about all that. But yeah, I don't remember him like that. And I'm never going to speak of him like that. Period, point blank. He was a good dude. And, per the documentary, something happened in his life that made him snap. So I'm always going to remember him as a good dude. That's just what it is, But nevertheless, we as the men, man, grab your son, man. Tell your son you love him. Or your sons if you got multiple sons. Because it then got to the point where across this country, like I tell you, I live here in Iowa, man. I've heard the stories about guys being chopped up with this whole meth. See, they say it's a public health crisis. Let me tell you something. Low-key people dying behind that shit up here. It's not since I've been here in Iowa. I've heard several cases of guys being killed and dismembered. That was in that meth game. Nobody in this country is immune from no drug that's on the market. None of our families. At any given time, death can knock on our door. All I'm saying is this. If you have access to your son, barring the people that have the courts involved or what have you, embrace your son, man. Love your sons. If y'all got issues, try and work it out with them, man. There is nothing on this earth that is worse than not being able to patch up with a relationship with a person in their past. Yeah, you're going to go to their funeral and lean over their coffin and talk to them, but they can't hear you. Yeah, you're going to be running around doing all this pointing in the sky, but who says they can hear you? Life is not supposed to be short. We say life is short, it's not supposed to be. We've embraced the life is short thing to the point where a lot of us feel like if we make it to 20 years old, we've lived a lifetime. You know, when I first moved up here to Iowa, that was kind of like eye-opening for me. When people, I would tell them, you know, I'm 30, or I'm 31, I'm 32. Oh, damn, you young. What? Young. In New Orleans, I'm the equivalent of a 90-year-old man. I live to be 30 years old. And it took for me to get away from home to understand and see that, damn, we've embraced life is short, but life shouldn't be short. We've just started cutting our lives. We got too many people. You're right, too rich. They rush into the grave, but for what? They rush into the grave, man. Thank you to everybody that hit the like button, man. You know, like I said, I'm still kind of minced for words. I was gonna do this in like just a video and post, but I just decided to do it live. Men, fellas, please, fellas, your sons, man. I know sometimes it can be a hassle and it can be a headache, and it's constant work being a dad. Because your children make 18, don't stop you from being a dad. Just like it don't stop them from being your children. It's your sons, man. Sometimes they learn the easy way, sometimes they learn the hard way, and that's unfortunate. But you gotta grab your sons, because this world is out here. It's a nasty world. And as I said, living here in the Midwest, the whole myth of it only touching the black community is the furthest thing from the truth. I'm seeing the damage that fentanyl is doing. I'm seeing the damage that meth is doing. I'm seeing the damage that opiate. I'm seeing dudes 30 years old looking like they're 90 because they're so addicted to meth. I'm seeing women 25, 30 years old, they ain't got no teeth in their mouth. You would think they're 65 or 70 years old, shriveled up, meth, been a teenage meth addict. I'm seeing the women, excuse me, walking around with piles of makeup on their face to cover the red blotches in their face. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing people can't keep still because they did this stuff so long that it damaged their nervous system. I'm seeing the effects of it. Now, to the young dudes out there, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna tell you why the dope game is over. You need to hear this from all. I'll tell you why the dope game is over. And this is not for the robbers. This is not for the thieves. It's not for the scammers. No other people but the dudes that sling. We'll tell you why that game is over. Y'all got the same problem law-abiding citizens got. Just like we get up and go to work every day, or we get up and run legitimate businesses every day and make legitimate money, there's always a criminal looking for an easy way to take it from you because they lazy. In a dope game, a lot of that killing is jealousy. Straight up. Straight up. That's what a lot of that killing is. It ain't that's the way the drug game works. No, it's not the way the drug game works. It's just lazy people. You can't be a dope dealer out here and make no kind of money. You don't even have to flash it. I tell you guys and girls all the time, what you may think is insignificant can be significant to a lazy person. Your little Kia Rio that you're trying to buy, or your little Dodge Caravan so you can have a low-key vehicle, to you is low-key. To that motherfucker that lives around the corner that watches you every day, it's a come-up for him. And that bastard will fucking rob you. At the end of the day, is it worth it? Is it worth putting your family through? Because I knew some good dudes, good-hearted dudes that was in the dope game. I mean, just, if I didn't tell you what they was into, you would never know. In prison, I lost their life behind the type of person I just described. Up here in Iowa, we got a lot of people in Anamosa right here, right now in the state penitentiary behind the type of person I just described. If you're selling crack, you can't do the kind of time that people got mandated for you. I'm watching on TV, they want to repeal the First Step Act. It ain't worth it, man. Last thing I'm going to say before I get out of here, man. I appreciate everybody that tuned in. I'm going to try and do this regularly. You guys stay tuned because I may have an important announcement coming in a couple weeks. I'm working on something. But nevertheless, I want to say this before I get out of here. It ain't worth it, young man. Arguing with dudes, it ain't worth it. Us, the legal gun owners, what do we always preach? Try and stay out of situations where you gotta defend yourself. Try not even be in those positions. Because dudes don't fight no more. And they tell you that. The rapper King Von got into a fist fight. And the dude shot him and killed him. The same dudes who claimed that they ran into him, they was going to throw down with him. When it was time to throw down, they wound up shooting him and killing him. And look what happened. His friends went and broke in his house. Allegedly. After he got killed. Ain't no loyalty in the streets out there no more, man. Your same friend that you out there running the street with, when you get locked up, if he got you, he'll throw you under the bus. Out in California, from what I've researched, all you brothers that got your little Asian and Mexican and white friends running around talking about nigga this and nigga that, and all, he just cool. He just grew up around us. And y'all go to prison together, his Mexican buddy's gonna turn around and tell him, I know he's your black friend, but you gotta kill him because he's black. Not because he's done nothing. You can't be his friend now because you're back here. All you black dudes who ran with all the Hispanic dudes and you can speak Spanish like a Hispanic, and you see them as your brother, when you get locked up with him, your black prison mate's gonna tell you can't be his friend no more. Even though y'all been friends since y'all was 3 years old. You can't be his friend no more because he's a Hispanic. It's the kind of fucking life you want to live? Or you want your parents coming to visit your damn grave? And for hard-working parents, you know what they always gonna say to themselves? I bent over backwards to give you everything I could to keep you out of trouble. And it still didn't save you. Gilly the kid hustled hard to keep his son from meeting his demise like that. And I don't know the full story. This is no shade. But look at what happened to his son. At the end of the day, man, when you get money, when you come from money, when you come from a good beginning, take it and run with it. Don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed of that. I beg my children. Don't be ashamed of having more than what I had. That's what we're supposed to do. Our children are supposed to have a better life than we had. Don't run away from that, man. Don't try and embrace something that you're not, because it has a consequence. And I'm gonna tell you something. I know I said I wasn't gonna say nothing else, but I'll just say this. When you go to prison, your family and your loved ones go to prison with you. They do that time with you. When you go to the cemetery, your family goes to the cemetery with you, and they lay in that ground with you. I know of people who literally went crazy after their son got killed. To the point they was in New Orleans walking around in 110-degree weather with jeans and a fucking overcoat on in the middle of the summer, walking up the street just talking to themselves. They never recovered from it. I know people who got hooked on drugs. I mean, like, to the point they neglected the rest of their children because they lost their son. Now, we understand about the daughters, but here again, this is about our sons, man. We gotta put more initiative into trying to keep our sons out of trouble, because they got prisons and they got graveyards. The prisons always got vacancies, and the graveyards, they stay open 24/7, 365, 366 on a leap year, and they don't discriminate. They'll take you in prison at 10, 11 years old. For those of you in Baltimore who thought using these little young boys to commit these crimes, well, Baltimore got a crime bill coming. That's going to be the first thing they're going to target. Now, these little 10, 11-year-old boys that y'all sending out here to do all y'all little bullshit, we're going to start taking them to prison. That's exactly what we're going to start doing. We're going to start taking them to prison. This thing of going to prison makes you a man. Let me just go ahead on and address that while I'm here. Shit. I find it strange that the majority of these dudes on YouTube and social media who talk about prison, they did 20, 30 years, 40 years in prison, can tell you what happened to everybody else, and they all swear up and down nothing ever happened to them. They can tell you this one got raped, that one got talked out of his behind, this one happened to this one. But for me, oh no, when they showed up, it was 10 of them, and I fought them off. If you got a young teenage son, especially, Fleece Johnson is here on the internet. His interviews are very, 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 very vulgar, but they raw and they uncut, and that's what you need. Let your sons listen to him, because me and my youngest son was listening to Fleece Johnson, and I told him, listen to what this man telling you. This man just did 40 years in prison. This man know what he's talking about. To my young men out there, no matter where you come from, no matter what, everybody's welcome here at the Alert Zone. Ain't nothing in prison for you. You go to prison with 5 years. You join these prison gangs that's ran by dudes that's doing 3 life sentences without parole. They ain't never gonna get out. That's why they loyal to the gang, because he never going home. Some of these dudes do 20, 25, 30 years and find out there's a daylight chance of them going home, and they go debrief and tell everything. Don't be fooled by these dudes who tell you when you go to prison, if you rat, you breaking the code. Because those are the dudes who know they're never going to go home. Their crime was captured on video. They can't go home. They got 10 consecutive life sentences. They're going to be telling you what to do with your 5 years. And you'll wind up doing life in prison like them. Those are the type of dudes you're going to meet back there in jail. You know what I'm talking about. I've talked to people who've done 20, 30 years in Angola. And I asked them, it's a miracle you fucking made it out of there alive. When I started this channel, I told you guys, girls out there, sometime I was going to do political and racial discussions and show you how this all tie into firearms. Because people want to separate them and you can't. You can't separate it. You want to, but you can't. I can't tell the young dudes to put the guns down. You know why? Last year, 3 Army enlisted guys in the Army got caught running guns to Chicago. For everybody who like to talk to Chicago about Chicago. I can't tell these kids to put these guns down because they just keep showing up in fucking droves. I mean, think about it. Some of these kids ain't got a piece of meat in the refrigerator, but they got a Glock 19 with an extended mag and all the ammunition they need under their bed, and they got no access to money. How are they getting this? Think about that. How are they getting this? You ain't got no money. It's like in Africa. These dudes got the same clothes on for 3 weeks, but they got a damn rocket propelled grenade on their shoulder. They ain't got no money to buy that. Where they getting it from? The African continent, not one country manufactures firearms, but they got firearms all over. For people, they tell you dirt poor on TV. To my young men, listen to me, and listen to me good. It's not worth it. It's not worth going to prison, man. If you love your dad, you love your brother, you love your good friend you growed up with, the one who always tell you, hey, bro, look, it ain't worth it. Say, bro, look, man, look, let it go. If you really love them, change the way you move, man. Embrace success. Don't be like Ja Morant, a fucking basketball player that's a millionaire that's trying to be a thug. What is he trying to be a thug for? He's got all the money he could, access to all the money he could ever want. And he's throwing away millions of dollars to try and be a gangster. And when he ends up broke, without a penny, the same idiots that was egging him on gonna run away and say he ain't got no more money. Can't be his friend no more. I watched what the streets was, and I watched what the streets became. For my young heads, y'all don't remember back in the day when we used to say word is bond? Because as men, we lived on our word. What we said was how we was judged. We lived on our word. You guys don't live like that no more. Your little buddies, they love you until they can find a way to get a leg up on you. Hi, I'm live streaming. I'm live streaming.
Come here, Carmen, come here. What?
I'm live streaming right now. Just leave her alone. She's gonna start hollering. I'm live streaming while my granddaughter is here.
Come here.
So,
Come here, Louis. I gotta go upstairs to my room.
sorry about that, everybody. Granddaughter just stopped in to say hi. But I can't keep saying put the guns down. like I said before. All I can say is, when you pick one up, ask yourself, is what I'm going to do going to be worth it? I mean, isn't got so bad now that the moms of the criminals starting to come out and starting to say, well, you can't blame me for it. You can't blame me for it. I didn't put that gun in his hand. I didn't put that gun in his hand. You can't blame me for it. It's nothing I can do about it. You know, back to what I was saying. I watched the streets change, man. Word is bond. From my old age, y'all remember that. Every rapper, every rap song basically used to end with word is bond and peace. We was what we said we was. And we stood on it. Everybody knew who everybody was. Everybody knew. Just the dude don't get into nothing. Just the jacker. Just the robber. Just the dude that works on everybody's cars. That's the weed dude, that's the crack dude, that's the coke dude, that's the heroin dude. Just the dude that gets up and goes to work every morning. So all the dope boys and all the criminals gonna make sure when Mr. Joe get up in the morning to start his old Oldsmobile or go to the bus stop, we're gonna make sure nothing don't happen to him. I remember that. I remember when the gangsters used to be out slanging and Miss So-and-so would come out and they would, how you doing, Miss Johnson? How you doing, Miss So-and-so? Hey, get off that lady porch. I remember they would take their business in the alley, away from children. I remember that. I remember when they would tell young dudes, hey man, you're too young for this. Nah. I remember the dudes who had potential. They would give them money to stay away from them. Here, go to school. Stay away from this. Just not your type of thing. Now, the guy that has the potential to get them all out of that, they're egging him on to be a damn fool. If John Morant was around a lot of dudes who really cared about him, they would have pulled his coat after his very first incident of getting in trouble and let him know. The next time you run into any kind of trouble or you do something stupid, you're going to answer to us. You the one who got the money. You the one who can put us in a position where we can go and get a loan from you so we can start doing something that we like to do. And here you messing it up for everybody trying to be something. We just here to protect you to make sure you don't get into this and look at what you're trying to do. He ain't got them kind of people around him. He got people egging him on to be fucking stupid. Them 25 games he about to miss, all them millions of dollars he about to miss, because he ain't getting them game checks, them same people gonna be talking stupid about him. Them same people gonna be calling him a dumbass behind his back. Saying, man, if I had that kind of money, he's a fool. I'd have cut all y'all off a long time ago. Ain't nobody gonna mess up my money. Or the bag, as they say nowadays. The street life ain't what it used to be. Straight up, it ain't worth it. Getting into all these arguments, it's not worth it anymore, man. I remember sometime coming up. Speaking of too rich, I'll tell you another little thing. I can remember times of seeing Telly Hankton and other dudes that was like elite on his level out in public together, and they never bumped heads. I remember seeing it. I remember the uptown, downtown wars in New Orleans. I remember when the different projects had issues with each other. Different dudes that was steppers, as they call them. And they would be in certain places and say, hey, you know what? We're not going to do this here. And they would give them a pass. I remember steppers would say, I went to go bang up this particular person or bang up the car, and his old lady was in there, or his children was in there, so I let him slide. I remember that. That don't exist no more. I remember dudes wouldn't go to the second line or to the parade and go after somebody they live right around the corner from. I remember them days. But they don't exist no more. They can exist if we all do our part. To the young men out there, I want y'all to put them illegal guns down. I don't even really want y'all fighting it out because you know what? A lot of times y'all get into fights and you don't even know what you're fighting for. Too rich, all right. You're in Charlotte, yeah, okay. You from the NO, yeah. You know what I'm talking about. Too rich can vouch for what I just said. And you know what I'm talking about. There was places that dudes would say, "This ain't the place. This ain't the place." Shout out to Charlotte too, cause I've been to Charlotte quite a few times. Damn, right up there off 85. Huntersville. Uh, what's it? U.S. Foods that I go to up there sometime. So I definitely know a little bit about Charlotte. I've been not like out in Charlotte, but I've been around Charlotte a lot. There was a time I used to run 85 to Charlotte a lot, going up to Salisbury. I used to go to Salisbury, North Carolina a lot. It's a chemical plant. I used to go up to Raleigh-Durham. Statesville, there's a cold storage I go to in Statesville sometimes. So, yeah, I've been to 46 out of 48 states. I know what I'm talking about. I've been to Mexico and I've been to Canada. On my old channel, y'all seen me when I was in Mexico. But we just gotta, sometime to the young men out there, you gotta live and let live, man. You just gotta live and let live. Because you know what? More times than not, if you don't have the wrong people around you and you run into a problem with another man, another young man, usually y'all might have a couple words and it's squashed. All these rappers getting killed now, I remember it was the entourages that used to do all the fighting. It wasn't the rappers, it was the entourages that would kick everything up. And when the dudes would meet without the entourage, it would be something totally different. That's how they would squash their beef. Hey man, look, I'm gonna talk to people in my camp, you talk to people in your camp, so we're gonna have to stop this. Because at the end of the day, me and you never had an issue. It was somebody from my camp that didn't like somebody from your camp. And we got threw out there as the face of it. In my lifetime, there's times I've had guys that I've had issues with. And we just discussed it. Sometimes we had to throw the hands, but for the most part, we just discussed it. What are we even having an issue for? Is it worth getting into a fight over? And if we fight, is it going to be it? Or now do I have to worry about it escalating? I remember I used to make fun of old people. And they used to say the only way you don't get old is if you die young. And that's something that's lived with me throughout the years, man. If you don't, only way you're gonna get old, don't get old, is if you die young. At the end of the day, man, life is about living. I'm not gonna tell you you're not gonna have conflicts. All I'm saying to the young men is it worth it. Because let me tell you something, just as a hard-working family, man, yeah, you're right about that too, Rich. And mind you, in 94, when New Orleans went off the map, went off the meat bracket, I was living in Central City in the middle of all of it. Maybe, I don't know, as the live streams start to grow, maybe I may here and there just tell a little bit about some of the things I experienced. I'm going to try not to mention names, just out of respect, because maybe the person is dead or in jail, or I didn't have their permission, and I don't want to run into no legal issues, I just spoke on Telly Hankton because you mentioned it, and because I had just seen something about him, and I'm always gonna say that I'll never remember him as this monster that they present him. That's just for me. I'm never gonna remember him like that. So, like I say, man, if you got a son out here, man, all sons, y'all doing good for y'all selves. Preach to them what I preach to mine. If somebody get the ups on you, let them have whatever they want. I can replace all that material stuff. I can't replace you. Somebody run up on you, stick a gun up to your head and take your car, give it to them. Fuck that car. That's what we pay insurance for. I can get another car. We can replace that car. I can't replace you, son. At the end of the day, it don't matter what you do out here, young men. There's always gonna be somebody that's not gonna like you and not gonna like the fact that you're doing something financially for yourself. That's just the way the world works. But you know what? When you do better, get around like-minded people. I'm not saying you can't not talk to your friends that come from in the mud. Some of your friends like it down there, and that's fine. I'm not saying you can't talk to them. When you get away from that, leave that, man. Leave it. There's nothing wrong. If you're the son of a guy that has busted his butt to put you in a good position, embrace that. I see now a lot of these suburban dudes want to be rappers. They grew up with their mom and dad, and all they want you to believe that they these criminals that they for what? They want to show videos of them being in a particular neighborhood for what? Man, live your life. Enjoy the fruits of your father's labor, man. Because you know what? When your father sits down to eat fruit, they taste a whole lot sweeter when his son is there to eat them with him, as opposed to his son being in the ground or being behind bars. Fruit don't taste sweet when you lose your sons. They better. Even if you ever eat fruit again. Well, everybody, I've been on here for an hour. I'm going to let y'all off of here. I appreciate y'all working with me with this live stream. Like I said, I'm still working and learning it. Once again, man, if you got sons out there, man, tell your sons you love them. If they're having issues, talk with them. Even if you can mediate an issue they're having with somebody, sometimes that's just all it takes. Some of these other dudes don't have nobody around, and if the dad comes down and get them away from the crowd and just sit them down around men, you can usually hash something out. For black men, when we ran our community like that, our community was the envy of the world. We need to get back to that. To those of you who come from non-black cultures, don't let the news tell you that your son is not vulnerable. Because your son is vulnerable like the rest of us. Love him. Tell him you love him. Try and keep him on the straight and narrow, man. Because there ain't nothing but death and destruction out here. The only way you're going to close prisons down in America is you got to stop having people volunteer to go to them. A lot of guys that's in prison volunteer for it. Till next time, everybody out there, stay safe, stay on high alert. You just had some good sweet fruit with Uncle James. Peace.